Hi, everybody. Welcome to Experts Dig In for Doggies for Dementia. I'm Carmen DeValis. I'm the founder of Doggies for Dementia Foundation. And I have a wonderful guest here today, Kelly Kaelin, who is a friend of mine and who also has her bonus mom, her stepmom, who has dementia. Her father is in another state, who is her caregiver and has family in the other state. She lives in Oregon, and we've been talking about living with this COVID-19. I even hate to put the word out there, pandemic, but this all that's happening with the COVID-19 outbreak and managing. And you had something wonderful to say that I know our audience is going to love. So, do you know what that was, Kelly?
Yeah, we were talking about an affirmation that I have. And the affirmation, both me and my sister have this, and the affirmation is that we will be where we need to be, when we need to be there, with all the tools and everything else that we need at that point in time. And it's played out very, very well through this situation. And my sister is in Texas. We actually live together in Oregon, and my sister is in Texas with my father. He's 84 years old. So this is a big deal for the elderly when they really get to be alone. And my dad, my bonus mom, is in full care, so that's completely shut down. He can't go there. And so that's one of his social activities that he actually, well, it's an activity. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a social activity, but it's an activity that he goes out and he is with her. And so he gets out of the house and he has other activities. He's active. So he does social dancing and tapping and he's in a band and some other things like that. And so all of that got shut down.
Right.
And the timing of my sister going to visit my dad, had she gone a week earlier, she would have come back. Had she gone a week later, she wouldn't have gone.
Right.
And so she went, and then we knew that all of this had started happening, and she said that we agreed that she needed to stay there. And so she's been there for well over a month at this point in time. Wow. And supporting my father. And I'm here at home, and we have a couple of dogs, and I had a cat. And my cat actually has passed during this time, which would have been really difficult on her because it was my cat. And it would have been such a different situation had the roles been reversed and I'd been in Texas and she'd have been here. It really would have been a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
And so it's played out so well that she's with my dad. She's, helping him out, just being there, just a physical body being there that can respond and have conversations with and things like that. And so he's really healthy. And that's just wonderful. And me, I was telling you earlier, I was thinking about, it's going to be so wonderful when I go to pick up my sister at the airport. And I thought, I'm just looking forward to it. And I thought about hugging her at the airport, and I absolutely burst into tears. Absolutely burst into tears. I am definitely feeling and I guess it's grief. It feels like grief to me that she's not here right now. And yet I know that we are absolutely in the places we need to be.
Yeah. And I believe in affirmations, and I've had a few guests that have talked about affirmations, and as silly as it sounds in the beginning to say, and I had a guest who say you need to say it in the mirror, and I'm like, that's really hard for me. and I know I'm not alone in that, but I'll speak for me, and like to look at in my own eyes and to say an affirmation. And she said, well, embody someone else for a while, someone you admire and really care about, or that you really want to mirror their values or what have you, and integrity, and stand in their light for a while until you can stand in your own. And go, that's a great idea. And then when you mentioned your affirmation, because you're like, where we need to be, and nothing in there talks about what we think we need or want. And so sometimes that's looking at like, hey, I have everything that I need, and it may not be the way I saw it. It's not the plan, right? It's not the plan that never works out, but it's exactly everything that I need right now. Mm-hmm. And So while, I mean, those of us with elderly parents, there's some concern there because they are high risk. And there's no doubt about some of the statistics that show that, things that they're affected more than younger people as far as how bad the disease can be for them. And you think about that, and now your sister is there, so that gives you an in that your dad's not there alone, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's very high risk. He's 84 and has other health issues, so he's very high risk. So my sister being able to go to the grocery store and picking up things and that type of thing, so that he can stay home, I think has been really, really valuable. And I know that we're in the area that they're in. There is cases of COVID, and so him being safe is really, really important right now. And sometimes the elderly, and I think we all do this. I don't think it's just them. Let me restate that. Cancel Claire.
Cancel Claire, because I think I know what you're going to say. Yes, go ahead.
It's best for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, I need some bread, and out we would go for bread, right? And we wouldn't think about, hey, wait a minute, let's think about this, and let's take precautions or do whatever. And so I think it's really a lovely thing that she's there and that she's able to help him with things that he needs help with. Sometimes you just need a second person to do stuff around the house and things like that. So it's really a big blessing that she's there.
So much. I mean, because you and we've both been on our own throughout this, right? For the most part, and just know what it would be so different to have someone else there, even if it's not a need for beyond emotional support or someone to talk to, other than our dogs.
Right.
They're very, very good. Mine are, but they really don't have a lot to say. And so
to carry on a conversation with them.
No, and so there's that. But, my mother is in another city from me, and my brother's nearby, and he's been her main helper and to get things. But even my mom, she's like, I'm just going to go to Walmart and pick up a few things. And this is before I had surgery a few weeks ago. And I'm like, Mom, if you do that, you cannot come and stay with me after surgery, because you might come in contact and I can't risk it. So anyone who comes near has to be fairly, low risk as far as carrying it. And that was enough to keep her at home. But I only had that bargaining chip for a little while.
Right. And that's exactly it. We don't always know what's best for us. So
yeah, but I just love that so much, that affirmation, and it that will play true throughout. And I don't want to wash over what you said about that feeling of grief, because I almost feel it's like we've taken a deep breath in, but we've yet to exhale to feel all that has happened in the last couple of months here in the United States, in our country, and the many losses in life and in our way of life has changed. And then there's the thought, will it ever go back to how it was? And it was just such a big, abrupt change that there is some grieving and some uncertainty. And I think maybe your affirmation will continue to be helpful for us along the way, that no matter what it looks like when it's said and done, and whether the risk continues and things, I try not to listen too much, but I do pay attention to some of the medical sites, and like, wow, when you really don't have an idea what is ahead of you, and again, to surrender expectation and to say, okay, I can handle whatever happens.
Right.
I have what I need.
Yeah, that's really living, it's to just take it as it comes and do your best.
Yeah. And so good that you're, I feel for your dad not being able to visit your stepmom, because that is, it means it's a part of who he is, right? It's his wife.
It's his life partner. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh yeah, and the concerns that she might get ill and he's not there and can't do anything about it. And I too know that I know there's been a lot out there showing some really cute things of people standing at the windows and waving into people in long-term care communities, or even FaceTiming and all the other video streams. That for people with dementia, it can actually cause more anxiety than good. It might be good for those of us that want to see them, but for them, it's hard to understand how it's like a little kid trying to understand, like, how did you fit in this box? You know, it doesn't make sense. And people coming to the window, and my friends in long-term care said for dementia, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Just,
I think it's very individual.
yeah,
They do,
yeah,
and it depends on where they're at and everything else. It's very individual. So if your caretakers are good, which I assume they are, they would probably have a very good a good input into whether or not that's something that would be helpful or cause more frustration and anxiety.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I saw some pictures of the big Easter bunny outside the window, and I'm thinking, okay, that would freak me out. If the Easter bunny came to my window and was waving at me, you know, and it was really literally a big, tall person with a bunny costume, and I thought, okay, that's kind of creepy to me.
Probably think you're just seeing something else anyway.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm hallucinating. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, I wanted to share that affirmation and your stories of how it's helped with you and your sister. So your sister's not there with you. She just happened to end up at the right time and right place there with your dad. So he's not all on his own. And then you guys are making that work. And, you know, it just goes to the strength of, of you guys. And I think what we're seeing too, while we're also grieving as a country, we're seeing some really phenomenal, just such integrity, and that the true values that people hold that may have forgotten about come back out again, right? They're showing.
It slowed us down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just a little, Kelly.
Well, some people it's slowed down, some people it's sped up. So it just depends on, you know, what industry you're in and what's going on in your life. So you know, the slowing down is lovely because you kind of have to sit with yourself, and I think that's important.
Yeah, I needed to rethink how my businesses are and what I could do. And then, you know, during this time, I was diagnosed with cancer, had surgery, you know, didn't really see people during that time. And I truly don't think I've had a chance yet to process any of it. And maybe that's why I keep busy too, because I'm just not ready to process all of that. Even though it's all good news now. I mean, I'm all good, but still, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot to go through, and it's a lot to go through on your own. And yeah, you need to get with your family and be able to talk about that, and you know, cry or laugh or whatever it is that you'll be feeling at that time.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of emotion that we are bottling right now, and that's going to come out when we get back and start getting back to whatever our lives will look like.
Right.
And the quarantine is over. It's going to be really interesting because I think we're going to see a lot of the emotion and a lot of the reactions from what we've been dealing with the past month and a half out.
Right. And then especially as we, you know, feel like our heads are starting to come above water, we still have the financial concerns. Many of us, you know, in small business or people who've been laid off and things, you know, money has come to a stop. Bills continue, but there's no income. And right now we're all in the crisis mode, and let's get through this crisis mode. But then as we come out of that, it'll be like, wow, what now? What now?
Right. And then how do we deal with the fallout? And that's going to be, you know, it's easy to be nice and happy and sweet and kind when everything is going well.
Yeah.
It's when things are not going well that we really find the true character of people coming out.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
seeing this a lot. We're seeing the lovely character coming out, and so many people are, our caregivers and each other, and our first responders, and each other. And then
Right.
we all, we see on the news a lot of the other side of that.
Mm-hmm.
So just encouraging the kindness and the love, and to be the person that you are deep inside, and not to allow the fear to take you over.
Right. Yeah, and I think this is a good time to prepare for, now and as time goes on, because this is, even though the stressors might change some, there will still be those stressors that are unique to our lives as Americans, most of us, right? And I think of it like this: we have two basic emotions, fear and love. And I ask myself, am I acting out of fear or out of love? And I want to move back here. What does that look like? And that's one thing that helps to keep me balanced. And but I sometimes have to consciously think that when I'm in that swirl of anxiety and stuff.
Right, absolutely. Some days it's easier than others, right?
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I see a lot of people drinking wine on other Zoom happy
Yeah,
hours and things. And I have a few friends who said they have been drinking way more than they ever did before. And that's been their way of coping. And, I think those are some big red flags. If they notice it themselves, they
well,
realize they're not coping.
right. And hopefully they'll come out of this and drop that.
Right.
We don't want to continue with that type of thing. And yes, it might be okay for a little bit. It's not
Yeah.
going to be okay long term. So
Yeah. I think for them, they were aware of it enough to say, okay, I need to back down on that.
mhm.
That's not the coolest way. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to close with your affirmation again, and because I do think it's beautiful. We are where we need to be
Mhm.
when we need to be there, with everything that we need at the time. And
Mhm.
so, in other words, don't worry. You got everything you need right now.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to kind of be like MacGyver and look for solutions. Like, what do I have here to solve this problem? Because I have everything I need. Where is it? Right?
Right.
It's
Right.
deep inside
Absolutely.
sometimes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. It has just been fascinating to watch how that's played out.
Hmm. I like to close with a question. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I know. Like, but this one, I think, what talent would you love to have?
I'd love to be able to sing. I'd like to be able to carry a note.
I thought I used to, Kelly, but then I think I really just thought I was good.
Yeah, I fill stadiums and I am a rock star in my car by myself. But that's about it.
And
And
my dogs agree. They think I'm really good too. So
I love that. Yeah, mine hound. Um,
no, they sing along with you. Let's just change that narrative. They sing with you. They love it.
oh, yeah, they're painful though.
That's a great talent. Well, thank you again, Kelly. I wanted to talk about that affirmation because I love it. And I think it's totally appropriate for what's going on right now. And that story will continue. So thanks everybody for watching. And thank you, Kelly, for being our guest today on Experts Dig In with Doggies for Dementia. Take care, everybody.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.